Invisibility is an important defense mechanism for keeping animals out of sight and therefore out of mind. In many ways, living, breathing, individual animals are kept away from our consciousness, and only their abstract body parts are easy to find wherever we go. That's pretty striking when you consider the fact that for every one American, there's like 32 farm animals at any given time. While we see many humans on TV and as well as in person every day, we rarely, if ever, see a farm animal. And there's probably a pretty good reason for that, because the industry doesn't want us to see the animals behind the food. And then anonymity is another fiction that I discuss. When we do see animals, that is, when they're not invisible, they're often portrayed as anonymous. I have an example here of a Ben & Jerry's sign, a store sign, where you see the silhouette of a cow in what appears to be a field, and the only differentiating qualities that we know that she's a dairy cow is the silhouette of her body and some very crude black and white artwork. There are no eyes, no mouth, nothing else that would be distinguishing or unique about her. She's just a faceless, nameless, generic-looking dairy cow. When we do something to manipulate animals to produce more of something that we want, like more milk or more eggs or more flesh, we often pitch this as a great innovation. And so, for example, when it comes to dairy cows, the fact that we've engineered them to produce up to 12 times more milk than their bodies were intended to produce just to feed one calf, we present this as an incredibly great innovation, human innovation. Or when it comes to chickens raised for their eggs and how we've bred chickens for egg laying, we say this is a great innovation that we can now get them to produce up to 250 and upwards to 300 eggs per year. So another way of looking at that is that every 25 to 30 days, a chicken will lay her body weight in eggs during her prime peak egg laying period, which only lasts actually for quite a short span of her life. Another fiction related to innovation is what I call progress. And in my book and in my presentation, I show a slide of the Chicago Union stockyards, which you see here. It's actually a postcard that was used by the travel and tourism industry to promote the Chicago Union stockyards as a tourist destination. And so what you're looking here is this enormous industrial scale slaughter complex. What happened is these wealthy industrialists got together and decided that they were going to drain this swamp and create the largest industrial meatpacking and slaughter complex in the world. They literally drained the swamp in this case. But not only did they create what is often seen as the birth of the Industrial Revolution, through a scale of animal exploitation and slaughter that had never been seen before. Not only did they create this phenomenon, but they also marketed it as a spectacle. And so people and tourists that were coming to Chicago would come just to see this. And they were coming from all over the world. Yes, people were terrified by what they saw, but they came here for the spectacle. And even more compelling and enticing than the terror was the fact that animals were being processed as commodities in a way that had never been seen before. And this literally fascinated a huge number of tourists. Another fictional device is what I call superiority. And one of the ways I'd like to show you how this is used is in a Nissan Rogue television commercial. So this young European couple are driving in their Nissan Rogue. They're driving through this European city. They're going through these winding roads and sharp turns, and bulls start showing up at either side of them, and sometimes in front of the car and sometimes behind them. So you get the sense that this is some kind of bullfight, right? So at the end, they pull up in front of the Toro Steakhouse, And the man gets out of the car, and he looks at the black bull shrewdly in his face, and the bull cowers away. And then they walk into the steakhouse and have dinner. Clearly, this is a symbol of how we dominate other animals and how humans win. We win that game of domination. And then, of course, consuming the animal at the end is the ultimate act of conquest over other animals. And that's where superiority plays such a huge role in giving us this kind of sense of having a right to use and consume other animals. During the post-World War II era, the USDA was looking to give agriculture a big boost, and in particular the dairy industry, which was kind of hurting at the time. And so they created a series of propaganda campaigns. And this is an example of one of them about milk being kind of the foundation of a strong America. And so you see children of all ethnic groups behind this big glass of cow's milk. The message here is that cow's milk is actually the unifying symbol of vitality and the melting pot and of strength, of a stronger America. And this necessity idea exists very much today. In fact, in a recent study, it was found that 66% of Americans actually believe that eating animals is necessary for survival. Survival, not health or wellness, but to survive. But we actually require the flesh of other animals to stay alive. So that's pretty frightening. I will pick up next time with more fictions of our animal-consuming culture. Thank you so much.